Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back for an MLS Matchday 4 prediction video. Matchday 3 was pretty good, can't complain, but hopefully we have a very exciting Matchday 4. Before we jump into our predictions, we got to take a look at the Nerdy Soccer table. Currently, we have two people in first place between Nick Fortune and Roasts. Then we have a multiple way tie there for third with Cote, Jerry, Wayne's World, M. Donovan, Rohita, and Samuel 22. Those are our top players right now. If you want to get involved, QR code's on the screen. The link is in the description. There's 3 matches out there for you to predict. And again, whoever is at the top of the Nerdy Soccer table at the end of the season will win an MLS kit of their choosing from the MLS shop. Also, for those who are returning, make sure that you are using the same exact email address the whole way through. Had a couple people in this past one use different ones. That is what these rankings are based on. So if you accidentally put in a different email than what you had before, it could potentially lose you points or not make you higher on the table. So make sure that you're using the same exact email each week. Now, enough all that. Let's jump into Matchday 4 predictions. So, starting us off for the week here, we have Red Bulls versus Orlando City. The Red Bulls have won one there at home, where Orlando have lost one on the road. Red Bulls, though, for the season, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss, where Orlando City are 1 win and 2 losses here on the season. Red Bulls are averaging 2 goals at home, not allowing any. They only have 1 game. And then for Orlando, the same thing. They only have 1 game on the road, 1 goal for, 2 goals against. Now, the expected goals for the home side. So this is based on, down here, this is based on home stats. And then for the away expected goal here is based on Orlando City's away stats. And then underneath of it, you can barely see it because I have it in black, because as the season goes on, we want to look at how they perform at home. And it's the same thing with the win probability there on the screen too. That is based on home and away, not their whole season. Where in the black here, where you can barely see, that is based on the whole season. So we will be looking at both of those throughout the season, but I want to focus on that home versus away stats. In this one, with the home stats, it's saying that 90% win probability is in favor of the Red Bulls. But if you look at the whole season, because we're only 3 matches in, so you have to look at that to have more statistics. It is still saying the win probability is in favor of the Red Bulls at 54%. And the expected goals is 2-1 with their overall stats there for the expected goals, and I have to go with that one. I think the Red Bulls are going to get the job done there at home. They're going to win this match 2-1 over Orlando City. So that leads us into our next matchup here on the weekend, and that is Toronto FC versus Chicago Fire. Currently, Toronto have not played at home. This is their first home match, where Chicago Fire are 1 win and 1 loss there on the road. As you can see, because there is no data for Toronto at home, that is why like the average goals for, goals against has that error, and then the expected goals and the win probability also have the error because there's no data to go off of for their home stats. Now, Toronto, 1 draw, 2 losses in their first 3 matches on the season. Chicago Fire, 1-1-1 on the season as a whole. The win probability is in favor of Chicago at this one at 75%. I think that we're going to see goals. Even though Toronto have only averaged 1.3 goals a match this season, Chicago is at 2.33, but they're also allowing 2.33, where Toronto is also allowing 2.6. The expected goals in this one is 5-4, and I don't think that's even close because we're so new to the season. It's hard to go off of those. So this one is going to be tough. I don't think we see that much, but I do think that Chicago go on the road here and get the dub, and they win this match 3-2 over Toronto FC. So moving on, we have LAFC versus Austin FC. this might be a pretty good match. LAFC are coming off of a loss to Columbus on the road there in Champions Cup in the midweek. But LAFC, they are at home against Austin here. 2 wins, no draws, no losses for LAFC. Austin have only played 1 match on the road, and that was a loss. On the season, LAFC, though, in MLS, 2 wins and a loss, where Austin are 1 win and 2 losses so far. Not what I was expecting for Austin FC so far in the season. They are coming off of a loss at home against the Colorado Rapids. The expected goals here is LAFC 1-0, and the expected goals for the entire season based off of all the stats, it's supposed to be a 1-1 draw, and the probabilities are both pointing to a draw here, but I don't think that happens. I think with LAFC being at home against Austin FC, I think that LAFC win this match. It's going to be a low-scoring one, but I think LA wins 1-0 over Austin FC. Now, this next matchup is one that I think is going to be the most exciting for the weekend, and that is Charlotte FC versus FC Cincinnati. Yes, Charlotte looked terrible against Inter Miami. They played most of the match up a player. It was 11v10 because of a red card for Inter Miami. They should have won this match, even though it was on the road. Cincinnati are coming off of a loss against Tigres in the Champions Cup, 3-1, but they were on the road, but won over the weekend versus Toronto 2-0. Charlotte currently at home, 1 win, no draws, no losses. Cincinnati on the road, they do have 1 loss, but on the season they're 2 wins and a loss, where Charlotte are 1 win, 1 draw, and a loss so far in the MLS season. Now, looking at this expected goals, because there's only 1 match, the data is way out of whack. It's saying 5-0 towards Charlotte. That's not going to happen here. But the expected goals overall is 2-2, and the win probability, again, you can't go off of that first one, that one in white, because it's only 1 game for both of them, home and away. But for all of the stats, it's saying 44% in favor of Charlotte and a 28% draw favor, and then a 27% favorite for FC Cincinnati. I think that I'm going to have to go with that 44%. I think that Charlotte are going to be very good at home, and it's going to be hard to beat them there at Bank of America Stadium. I feel like the fans are going to show up, and especially for this one, Vander and FC Cincinnati coming into town. I think that Charlotte will win this match, and they win this match 2-1 over FC Cincinnati there at Bank of America Stadium. So next up, I think we're going to see a lot of goals in this match. That is DC United versus CF Montreal. DC United at home, 1 win and a draw, where CF Montreal are 3 losses. They're on the road, and they're opening up the season with a huge road schedule for them. So it's going to be tough for them to 8 road games in a row. That is tough. The expected goals here is 3-1 in favor of DC United for that home and away stats. Overall, 3-2 in favor of DC United for the expected goals. The win probability, though, I have to go with DC United. They 76% win probability there with the home side, and 80% overall to DC United. Hopefully I'm not confusing everybody with that. Like I said, the win probability there in white is based on home information for DC United, away information for CF Montreal, and then the stuff below it is altogether stats. So hopefully that isn't confusing anybody. More than happy to get on and explain myself more on that if anybody has questions. But for this one, I have to go with DC United in this one. Montreal's just not looking like a team that is going to do well this season, and I think DC United win this match 3-1 over Montreal at Audi Field. So next up, we have NYCFC versus the New England Revs. NYCFC 1 win there at home. The Revs have a draw on the road so far this season. NYCFC not looking as good as I expected at 1-1-1 on the season, and the Revs 1 draw and 2 losses so far on the season. NYCFC are coming off of a win, their first home match against Orlando City 2-1. The Revs coming off of a loss at home to Philadelphia Union 2-0. This one, we can't really look at the home expected goals because the home and away expected goals, because it's just not, there's not enough data. where the other expected goals is supposed to be 1-1, and a lot of the probability is pointing to the draw. So like that white one, can't really look at that. But underneath, 62% win probability for NYCFC with a 37% of a draw, and still no information, like it's still a 0% probability for the Revs. I still think it's even early for that because we're only 3 match days in. So hopefully once we get once we pick up the season, those will be a lot better. Again, the expected goals here is 1-1. I don't think that's what it's going to be. I don't think this match ends in a draw. The Revs are very much struggling. They have not scored yet on the season at all. And I don't think they score in this one. I think NYCFC get the job done at home, get the clean sheet, and win this match 1-0 over the Revs. So that leads us into Sporting Kansas City versus Minnesota United. Sporting Kansas City is just a disaster. Currently, they've lost all 3 of their matches to open up the season. 1 loss there at home. Minnesota United 1 win and a draw and a loss there on the road. Currently 2 wins and a loss on the season. Expected goals is in favor of Minnesota United on this one, 1-0, and then the main expected goals is 1-1 as a draw. The win probability on both of them is in favor of Minnesota, barely, with a draw coming in there around the 40% mark. It's saying that Sporting Kansas City have no chance, even at home, which is so sad. They are coming off of a loss on the road to DC United. Minnesota winning on the road against a good San Jose Earthquakes. But luck has to change somewhere for a team, and I think it's right here. I don't think Sporting Kansas City win, but I think that they get their first draw of the season, and they draw this match with Minnesota United 1-1 there in Kansas City. So next up, maybe another match that I'm really looking forward to that's going to be a good one here in Matchday 4, and that is FC Dallas versus Vancouver Whitecaps. Currently, Dallas have a loss there at home, and on the season they are 1-1, where Vancouver have not lost yet. 3-0 on the season. They do have a victory on the road, and that victory coming to the Portland Timbers 4-1, and I believe opening match day. Dallas have only scored 1 goal at home. Yes, only 1 game, but they lost 3-1. Vancouver won 4-1. They've scored 4 goals on the road. I think that this one's going to be crazy. Also, again, for the expected goals, you cannot really look at those because one match, because FC Dallas gave up 3, Vancouver scored 4. That is why it is showing an expected goals of 10 for Vancouver. No way that happens. We all know that. But on the flip side, it is saying for all of the data, 4-2 in favor of Vancouver for the expected goals on this one. Again, you can't look at that top win probability because of how many goals were let up, how many goals were scored, but it is still saying 91% win probability for Vancouver on this one with a 5% draw and a 3% win probability. Even with that being a heavy point in the direction of Vancouver, again, just like Sporting Kansas City, luck changes even in the opposite way. I think that Dallas don't win this one at home. I don't think Vancouver go on the road and win this one. I think this one also ends in a draw, and this one ends in a 2-2 draw there at Toyota Stadium. So for our next matchup, we have Houston Dynamo versus Real Salt Lake. Houston Dynamo currently 2 losses there at home, where Real Salt Lake have lost their only match on the road there in the MLS season. Currently, Houston 1 draw and 2 losses in their first 3 match days. Real Salt Lake 1 win and 2 losses in their first 3 match days. The expected goals here is in favor of Houston, and I have no idea how. It really is because Real Salt Lake have not scored, but you can't really go with that when you have to go with all the stats. And this one, the expected goals is 2-2 here in this match. The win probability is spread thin. You can't look at that one in white because it's home and away stats. The overall stats, the win probability is 44% at Real Salt Lake, 25 for a draw, and 29 for the Houston Dynamo. I think that Houston have to get a win at some point And I think that happens here. I think that they coming off of a draw on the road with Columbus Crew, that is a confidence booster, where Real Salt Lake lost at home against a San Diego team that is very good and missing their star player Lozano. So if they could still beat them without Lozano, Real Salt Lake are going to struggle. So I think that Houston get the job done here at home, get the 3 points, win this match 2-1 over Real Salt Lake there at Shell Energy Stadium. So this next matchup is one that I'm really looking forward to because one team is very defensive and the other one not so much, but they also put a lot of goals up. That is St. Louis City versus Seattle Sounders. Yes, St. Louis have drawn there at home. Seattle, a loss on the road. No goals for, no goals against for St. Louis there at home. Seattle have not scored on the road, but they've scored a bunch there at home. They've currently got 7 goals for, 6 goals against on the season already. I think that's pretty high scoring in my opinion. They're averaging 2.3 goals a match, where St. Louis is only averaging 1 goal because of their last game. I expect this to be a low-scoring match. It's expected to be a low-scoring match in this one, 0-0 or 1-1 with overall stats. It's really pointing to a draw, but the win probability for all stats is pointing to St. Louis City at 76% and a 23% there for a draw. I think I have to go with the expected goals for the overall. I don't think that Seattle is going to go on the road and put in 3-4 goals. I just don't see it. St. Louis is a very good side with that defensive side. They finally opened up their scoring, where the first 2 match days they didn't score a goal. So I have to say St. Louis doesn't win this match, and I don't think Seattle win this match. I do think it does end in a draw. I think it ends in a 1-1 draw there at Energizer Park. Now, for our second to last match there on Saturday, we have San Diego FC versus Columbus Crew. San Diego have only drawn there at home in their one match, their home opener against St. Louis. Columbus Crew are 1-0 there on the road. The expected goals here is 0-0 again, and then 1-1 overall stats. The overall win probability is in favor of San Diego to win this match at home, just because they've scored 5 and only allowed 1 goal in their first 3 matches, where Columbus have scored 5 goals and allowed 2. The draw probability is at 40%. The win probability for Columbus Crew is at 17%. With that being said, I think that we see more than what both expected goals is on this one. I think both teams are very good at scoring so far in this season. And I think, though, Columbus Crew go on the road, and unfortunately San Diego get another draw at home. I think this match ends in a 2-2 draw there at Snapdragon Stadium. Now, for our final match there on Saturday, we have the Earthquakes versus Colorado Rapids. The Earthquakes, 1 win and a loss there at home. Colorado Rapids, a win and a draw there on the road. Overall, both of these teams not looking terrible. San Jose, 2 wins and a loss on the season, where Colorado Rapids, 1 win and 2 draws. I would expect the Colorado Rapids to be a little bit better than what they've started off with. And the same thing with San Jose. They have, Arango, Espinoza, Joseph Martinez. These guys should be doing better than what they did, especially in their last match. That last match was a loss to Minnesota at home. You can't be losing at home. Yes, Minnesota is a decent side, but you can't be losing that game. The win probability in this one is San Jose 2 to Colorado 1. The win probability 56% in favor of San Jose, with a 26% with a draw. I think that San Jose is going to bounce back from their loss last weekend. Colorado are coming off of a high, beating Austin on the road, but I think, like I said, Earthquakes are going to bounce back from that loss at home, win this match 2-1 over Colorado Rapids there at PayPal Park. So now we head over to Sunday. We have 3 matches this week on Sunday, and we start off with Philadelphia Union versus Nashville SC. Currently, Philadelphia have won their only game there at Subaru Park, where Nashville have only lost on the road. But overall for the season, the Union are looking hot, very hot, with 3 wins, no losses, no draws, where Nashville are struggling with 1 win, a draw, and a loss there in the first 3 match days. Philadelphia Union are scorers galore right now. They have 10 goals already on the season, where Nashville only have 2. They've only allowed 2, but the Union have only allowed 3 for the season so far. This one, you can't look at the expected goals for home versus away. There's no way Philadelphia is going to win this match 5-0. I don't think it's going to happen. But the expected goals for the overall stats is 2-1 in favor of the Union, with the win probability being 65% leaning towards the Union, with a 23% to a draw and 10% to Nashville SC. For this one, I do think that the Union get the job done. I've said it in the past before. Subaru Park, they're very good at Subaru Park. I think last season was an outlier, in my opinion. I think that the Union were just kind of in shambles there last season. Not a great season, but they're back on track this season. It's going to be hard to win at Subaru Park for away teams, and I think that the Union gets the job done here against Nashville. Nashville's just not a very good side this season, only getting 2 goals so far in 3 matches. It just doesn't look good. I think Nashville score in this one, but I think Philadelphia win this match 3-1 over Nashville there at Subaru Park. Now, I will say I didn't expect for both of these teams to be doing as bad as they are this season so far, and that is the Portland Timbers versus LA Galaxy. Portland, yes, they do have a win here at home. The Galaxy have a loss on the road. Overall, the Galaxy, though, have not won yet this season. Portland Timbers, 1 win and 2 losses here on the season. Portland's coming off of a road loss to Nashville, 2-0, where the Galaxy are coming off of a 3-0 defeat there in St. Louis, or against St. Louis. It was there at home, which is very sad. It's very sad to see how bad the LA Galaxy are this season. The expected goals here is LA 2, Portland Timbers 1, or overall stats is a 1-1 draw, and that's kind of what the win probability is. It's very even across the board, but if you look at the overall stats, 51% though in favor of Portland Timbers. I just don't see it happening. I don't see that happening. I don't think that Portland are that great. And I'm going to say it here, and I think that we see the Galaxy get their first win. I don't know why. This one was definitely a gut feeling prediction. In all honesty, I think LA Galaxy go on the road here and win this match 2-1 over the Portland Timbers there at Providence Park. And for our final match of the weekend, we have Atlanta United versus Inter Miami. I am very afraid of this game for Atlanta. As an Atlanta fan, I'm not ready for this because Messi is going to be back. He was on the bench in their last match. He's going to be playing in this one. Atlanta currently 1 win and a draw there at home, where Inter Miami have won their only match on the road. Atlanta's 1-1-1 on the season. Inter Miami's 2 wins, 1 draw there on the season so far. The expected goals here, 3-1 in favor of Inter Miami, but then overall stats is a 2-2 draw. The win probability, though, is heavily in favor of Inter Miami in both sets of data, 81% and 72%, where the other higher percentage is there at a draw. Yes, I don't think that Atlanta... I think it's going to take Atlanta some time. Yes, we are still dealing with injuries there on the back line, but that's not really what we need to focus. Our attack is not doing well. We get into the final third, and it just doesn't happen. We don't score goals as much as we should be, especially with the attacking power that we have. Latte Loth might be out for this one. He is in concussion protocol. We just don't know. I haven't heard any kind of updates for that. So if he is out, I think we're going to struggle even more. And I mean, he scored 2 goals so far on the season, but that was in the first match day. Atlanta haven't scored in their last 2 matches. Inter Miami doing work even without Messi, winning against Charlotte with a man down for a majority of the game. I don't see Atlanta winning this match. I think unless we have their number still, like we did last season, I just don't see it happening, and I think Inter Miami go on the road here and win this match 4-2 there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that is it for my predictions. Please comment down below. Tell me what your predictions are. Make sure that you join the Nerdy Soccer Table. QR code is there on the screen. Link is in the description. Pick those 3 games that are out there for you to predict. Climb the table. Get your chance to win a jersey at the end of the year. But thank you for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like the content. And we will see you for the live stream.